Hi everyone, welcome back to episode 21 of the Be Kind Be Happy podcast. So Leigh and I have decided to do our first live stream, whereas in the past we were pre-recording it, doing post-editing, and then posting it up on the social media platforms. But today we thought we'd level up, increase our level to try and do our first live stream, which means that there's no more cutting and that there's no more stopping. We just have to go through the whole thing in one go. And for today's episode, very excited to talk about something that's very close to both of our hearts, something that we are both very passionate about and that we practice in our everyday lives for a long time now. And that one thing is health. So, specifically, we'll be talking a lot about why health is important, what makes good health, and this is physical health and mental health, as well as the top habits to maximize overall health. So hope you like this episode on how to realize true health, top life-changing habits. Okay.
Brilliant. All right, so before we start, I'd like you to run us through some breathing exercises. So we'll start with that.
Okay, good. I actually think that I need this more than anyone right now because first live stream, a bit nervous. So, for anyone who wants to join in with us right now, closing the eyes, back straight, shoulders rolled slightly back, and then taking 3 deep breaths together. So the first deep breath in now. And then breathing out entirely. Second breath in. Second breath out. Third breath in. Third breath out.
All right,
okay.
Nice.
Yeah, that feels really good.
So Byron,
okay, so yes.
Yeah, so what made you want to do this episode?
Yeah, well, for the first live stream, I wanted something something basic to start with, something that's much more free-flowing, that doesn't require too much stress and thinking. I was actually going to go with meditation, but I felt that was going to be too complicated and too much to go with for the first episode. So I think health is something that we're very familiar with, that we have so much passion and interest in, that it should be a lot easier and more natural for us to do this episode today.
All right, that's a good answer. And so when you think of health, do you think of just physical health, like exercise, being in good shape? Or what do you mean when you say health and good health?
Yeah, good question. I think because for me, we're both qualified personal trainers, so we obviously understand the importance of physical health. But I was also referring to mental health, which is equally important, like emotional health. Having strong emotional stability, having a strong mind, resilience, and also like a positive mind. And the reason why I think this is so important and why I've been focusing so much of my attention and my time on is because there's a lot that I want to achieve in life, and there's a lot that I want to do in life, and I feel that I can't do anything if I don't have my health up to the standard that I need it to be. Because I've tried doing a lot while not paying as much attention to my health, and it's really, really difficult. Whereas now, I feel like I've been in a state where I feel very, very good. My breathing is so good, my mind is good, my body's sharp, and everything is just really high level. And I still work really hard day to day, but I feel like there's a lot more effortlessness and more ease in it. There's more enjoyment.
Wow.
How about yourself?
Going back to the... Oh, well, me too. So I've kind of gone through different plateaus and, in cycles, the health thing. I'm only 25, right? So I feel like when you hit 30, you have a little bit more wisdom. and you start like really valuing, like around the world, people start valuing their health a little bit more, maybe as they lose their like natural fitness. But like for instance, you dude, you're in like probably the best shape that I've ever seen you in, and it's just unbelievable. And you're 30, so it's, you know, not that 30's old, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I actually had another question for you. I was thinking about the monastery, right? And the Buddhist monks. And I'm just wondering, do they have, because I know you do a lot of discipline exercises, different things like that, but do they focus at all on physical health, or is it just the mind? Because you know what I'm saying? Like, I know you're doing chores and stuff like that, and I guess you're getting exercise that way, but was there any kind of focus on the physical health side of things, or was it only on the mind?
Yeah, good question. And I think it depends on the different branches of Buddhism, and different monasteries would practice it differently. For the one that I practiced, it was humanistic Buddhism, which meant that it's the practice of Buddhism in everyday life. And so, like, whether the Buddhism at work, whether the Buddhism while you're eating, while you're sleeping, while you're in the bathroom, while you're with your friends, while you're doing everything in life, what can you see the Buddhism in that, in the present moment? And so in that sense, we practiced it throughout the day, but not specifically, like there wasn't any specific exercises. One thing that I'd say was that we had to keep our back straight throughout the entire day. We had to walk with our heads not bobbling, or our shoulders would have to be very, very stable. And that just made us a lot more mindful of our body. For example, now I'm starting to understand the benefit of keeping the back straight the entire day and not resting on like the chair support. I'm doing that a bit more now, but before I would always it's called half sit. You're just sitting on half the seat and your back is not touching the backrest. And I always thought that was very hard. But now I understand that when you're not leading on anything, you're supporting yourself. And when you're supporting yourself, you need that energy and that life force to be elevated, so that you have to like hold your own position as opposed to leaning. And now I find that now it's become so natural, and it's built up my back strength, it's built up my back muscles, my shoulder muscles, just by keeping it up, you know. So but nothing specific, like no like exercise or like physical activity that we did. No.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because that's actually one of the problems I'm running into now that I'm teaching online from home. My back's been killing me. And and it's interesting because it's just the 8 hours, I guess, just in the same position. And literally my lower back's just been killing me. Like earlier this week, I ended up ordering like a little back support.
Nice.
And
nice.
But you know, I mean, part of it is the core strength too, right? But you know, it's I got to figure it out, because it's gonna be a long next 4 months if my back is just killing me every day. But so practicing the half sit, that's interesting.
I think the thing at the monastery is that if you don't want to do something in normal life, you just don't do it. In the monastery, you get told off, you get disciplined, you get punished if you don't do what you're supposed to do. And so there's like more discipline in like from the external force, like more external discipline. So in like everyday life in the secular world, as I say, like if whatever you don't want to do, you don't have to do it. But over there, if you don't want to do it, you have to do it. So yeah, they sort of like force you to increase your level.
But did you guys do any like physical stuff, like workouts? Like, did you guys have any you know, did you guys ever go for any runs or anything like that, or just any workouts, any kind, or not?
Every single day.
I don't really think there would be, but I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I'm thinking like Shaolin. they of course do it, but for us, like every day after lunch, we would go for a walk where we put like a bowl of water. It's completely filled to the top, on top of our heads, and then we walk up and down the stairs, up and down hills, and keep the water in the bowl. And so, but that's not really like strength exercise. I did my yoga every day. I did my like stretching and my push-ups and sit-ups and like my own bodywork exercises, but not many people did.
Do you think you're in better shape now that you're not in the monastery and you're incorporating like physical activity as well as the mind?
Yeah, I think that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to come back out, was because, dude, I love the gym. Like, I love pumping weights. I love exercising, stretching, having my time to do my own workouts, and I miss that so much. And now that I can do it again, I appreciate it more because I wasn't able to do that in the past. So now I'm much more grateful for the time that I spend at the gym. Yeah,
it's almost like when you lose that time, then when you get a little bit of time, you can fall back in love with it, right? That's interesting. So then I guess we decided that what makes good health. It's not just the physical health, right? It's the physical health, but it's also the mental health, right?
Yeah.
And so they play like it's like a web together, It's almost like a positive feedback loop, right?
Yeah.
Good mental health will lead to better physical health. Good physical health, including diet, right? I guess diet would be included in the physical health side of things, not just exercise, right?
Yeah.
Good diet would lead to better mental health. And we know, like, through so many studies, and there's just studies every single day coming out. They're talking about the importance of the gut biome. They're talking about how the direct effect of your diet to your mental health, right? We know it's like you are what you eat. We know if you just have a really high carb and fat diet, like physically you probably won't look so good or feel so good, but actually mentally, right? Like those cravings, low energy, and then obviously depression comes from the low energy or just lack of motivation. If you're not getting anything done, if you have no motivation and you're not getting anything done, then you're probably sorry, my phone turned off. You're probably going to maybe become sad or just lethargic, depressed potentially, right? So there's a lot of things that play in there, right? So it's important to have good habits, and that's something we're gonna get into as well. But I think a lot of it is just knowing that, right? Like once you know that, then remembering it, being mindful of it, and then when you are mindful of it and you do recognize it, then it makes it a lot easier. It's an easier choice to eat something this way, or I'm not going to eat that beef burger or whatever, right? Or I'm going to do some stretching or something like that, right? And again, that's another thing that comes with age as well, right? Because as you get a little bit older, you're less flexible, and you feel like the natural your spring is just not the same. Like even like me, man, when I was lifting like really heavy weights when I was like 17, it's just hilarious, right? Like I don't even know if I got DOMS. Like I wouldn't even be that sore the next day. But I know in the last couple of years, if I ever did a leg workout, I'm not walking for like 3 days. Like I have a limp. It hurts to sit. So there's a lot of things like that are interesting. So do you want to jump into?
Yeah, dude, before we move on, I actually think I really like what you say about how there's like a positive feedback loop between physical health and mental health and how they feed each other. Because if we talk about physical health in terms of like diet, exercise and rest, and mental health in terms of like your emotional health, your mental health and everything. So when we practice mindfulness and practice, being aware of our sensations of our mind and body, we know that when we eat well, that's a physical thing, it affects our mental side, right? It makes us feel good if we eat good. If we exercise, there's that serotonin, that dopamine, that oxytocin, or all those like happy chemicals. And then when we are resting well, like after a good night's sleep, we feel better. So there's obviously that link between like physical health and mental health, and it's so evident. If you eat bad food, if you don't look after, if you're tired, you're more grumpy.
Yeah, and it's almost like the more tired you are, the more you want the bad food. That's what I mean, like this. Because if I'm very like high energy, or I'm doing some important things in a day, then it's almost like, okay, like I'm more likely to to eat that fruit or drink that water, right? But if I'm like, I'm not doing anything in the day, and then there's like a beer in the fridge, it's like, well, I'm just gonna drink the beer, and then after I drink the beer, I'm kind of like, now I'm not feeling too good anyways. I'm extra tired, or I'm less likely to move around.
Yeah, nice. And I actually wanted to build on a bit about the mental health, because I really do think that mental health. How do you get mental health? For me, is about having a positive environment. So being around good, positive people, in a clean and safe environment makes you feel more secure, you know. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
The second thing is having life purpose and having meaning, you know, like you feel inspired and motivated in everyday life, as opposed to feeling like you're lacking direction, lacking focus, lacking drive. And then the third thing that I think leads to a lot of positive mental health is meditation. And that's something that I think we can spend ages talking about, because there's just so much to talk about. But because we both practice meditation, so we both understand the effects of it and why it's so important to practice. But definitely I think having meaning in life, having a positive environment, and meditation really does help create that positive mental health.
Yeah, and on the meditation side, and we can use that to lead into our habits, right? But part of it is just doing something for yourself as well, right? Like that idea where, like for me in the morning now, like I'm on day, what day is it today? It's the 17th. We're on day 17, right? So we have 17 days of meditation in 2021.
Nice.
You know, in a row. And the thing is, at the very least, it's like, oh, I'm taking that time for myself. And so I believe that I'll be better off. Like, I believe that I'm going to have a better day if I do it. And like that alone, you know, whether there was no effects, because I believe there is, it's just interesting, right? After I finish that, I'm like, okay, yeah, now it's time to be, you know, what I need to be here and do this at this level here. And that's what I do, and that's what I take into school. And I guess we can turn this into the morning routine and habit thing, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah, so...
Yeah.
My phone just froze again. But yeah, so I think we could move into that. You know, just for the sake of time. So what kind of? I'll just ask you a question.
Yeah.
So what kind of habits do you think are very important for having that good health, both mental and physical?
Yeah. So I think what I would like to do is, first of all, list the 5 habits that I've been doing for like the past 10 years, and then maybe we can go back to elaborate on them separately. But just to summarize, I think having sleeping early and sleeping enough is so important, that I know if I don't sleep enough, I just feel grumpy, I feel tired, I'm stressed easier, you know, I'm on edge the whole day. So the first one is sleep. The second one is having a very good morning routine that sets up your day. The third one is having daily meditation. My meditation practice is so important to me in terms of grounding my mind, having more clarity, having more, you know, more emotional stability. Then there's regular exercise, which is so important, and of course, healthy diet. So those are the 5 things I think I've instilled in myself in terms of habits that have really benefited my life. But I'd actually really like to learn about your ones, Leigh. Like, besides the ones that I've added, do you have like an extra one or two? Because I know that you also have a morning routine, you also meditate and exercise and have a good diet and sleep a lot. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add to that personally?
Yeah, well,
is that pretty much it?
I'd say that I've learned a lot from you. So a lot of the things that I've implemented in my life are directly from yours and your habits, because you have this like, well, you just have a good blueprint, you know?
Yeah.
Like I look at you, I'm like, okay, I'd like to be more like Byron in this regard, you know? Whether it's physical health or mental health, right? And if I'm having a bad day, it's like, well, you know, again, I think I said this in a previous podcast, but it's like, what would Byron do?
Wow.
So that's an idea, right? So again, sleep is something that I've really started being mindful of, and it's weird because I've always known that I don't function well, like if I don't sleep. Like I just don't, you know, I just get cranky, and so I think if I haven't got enough sleep, I think I'm getting a lot better at, you know, just being aware, keeping my awareness, being mindful, recognizing if I'm being cranky, but it's still not, that's not perfect. The best way to eliminate that is actually just to get enough sleep. And so. So
like, what if someone needs that? So what if someone has problem getting enough sleep, or like, you know, they're just tired and having like problems with that? How, like, what type of advice would you give someone to help them improve the quality of their sleep?
So I think a lot of it is, okay, we start off with, it has to just be a priority.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
And it's like at the end of the day, you know, I actually get less work done a lot of the times because I'm like, you know what? It's time for me to just go to bed. And sometimes I actually get bummed out. I'm like, dude, you know, if I could just stay up for another hour or another 2 hours, I would probably, you know, that's 2 hours I don't have to do stuff the next day. But to me, my mental health on that sleep is worth any 2 hour chunk of time. Like, you know what I mean? Because the other times I'll be more efficient, and I also have a smile on my face more. And I think like that's, you know, if I'm doing like, you know, tedious assignments, if I can't smile or put a song on and be happy about it, because I'm so tired, it just doesn't, you know, and that's still going to happen at times. It's just unavoidable. But yeah, so sleep has become a big priority of mine.
So what time do you sleep and what time do you wake up? Like, how much sleep do you get?
I try to get 8 hours.
Nice.
And so, and that, you know, and I try to get up at like 6, like I think my alarm during the week is like 6:11.
Wow.
So I try to go to sleep by 10 o'clock. So
nice.
The key,
that's early, man. That's pretty early.
Yeah. But so the main key for me has been actually just getting into bed. And so that's been a big help, right? Like the sooner I get into bed, the sooner I go through my phone, you know, do any, you know, mindless activity, and or read some stuff on Reddit, whatever, and then eventually I do fall asleep, right? And then the next thing is just that I have more peace in my mind. So if I don't have peace in my mind, then I recognize it. Then that time in the bed is kind of like, okay, well, I'm not falling asleep here. Why am I not falling asleep? Well, you know, this, and this is probably why. What happened in the day? So then it becomes like a little bit of like a mental checklist journal assessment, you know, before I sleep anyways. And just going through that assessment, it doesn't necessarily resolve anything, but I can process it all, and then I can go to sleep. And that's something you told me back in April. And it was like, how you go to sleep is how you're going to die. And so again, I brought that up a few times, but it's such an interesting thing because it's very true. Like if the time you have before you go unconscious, when it's just you and yourself, if you're in chaos and you're freaking out, then there's the only thing you can do is try and resolve that. You know, you can't just, you know, if you try to just close your eyes and fall asleep, you'll probably have a nightmare if you do fall asleep, you know?
Just to clarify.
So that's an important thing.
Just to clarify what I mean by that, in terms of like, your attitude, like the way you sleep determines the way you die. What I mean by that is that normally when we sleep, we lose consciousness, right? We lose control of our mind, we lose clarity, we lose the awareness, and that's how we sleep. And that's what happens when we die as well. The exact same process where our energy goes lower and lower and lower to the point where we don't have a grasp on our energy anymore. We don't have a grasp on our awareness anymore. And so we just lose consciousness. We're just lucky that the body is still beating, that after we lose consciousness, we can regain it the next morning. Whereas death is, you just don't regain it. You've just completely detached from your body. And so when we sleep, if we are able to sleep mindfully, it means, from a Buddhist perspective, that we are able to die mindfully. And when we die mindfully, the awareness is still completely bright and alert and sharp and aware, but then the body is, you know, unconscious. The body is asleep or dead, but then the mind is still ever so sharp, because that's the awareness that hasn't lost its life. It hasn't lost its clarity, its awareness. So that's what I mean. It's like a practice. It's hard.
Yeah, I hear you, but it's also like you're going into peace, right? Like your final moments before bed, or in your life, right? You're not like, oh distracted. Shit, like I shouldn't have said this, or I shouldn't have done this, or I shouldn't have. Instead, it's kind of just like, you know, I did everything I could today. I've done everything I could in my life. If you're talking about that, which is it's more extreme, but so then it becomes like, again, it becomes a reflection, a reflection. But
I like your way,
one, you know.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. To sleep, you know, feeling like you're sleeping with no regrets. You're sleeping with, like, you know, peace and happiness and like contentment. Yeah. That's a good way to sleep and die.
Right. But again, and when it's not the case, like last night, I actually had kind of a bad sleep, to be honest. But a lot of things, and like I have some deadlines coming up as well, so that's weighing on me too. After this, I'm gonna start grinding. But when it's not peace and bliss, instead of, like, I think for a lot of the time in my life when it wasn't peace and bliss was like, I'd say that was like 90% of the time, like maybe 9 out of 10 days I'd go to sleep. I would actually, when I got to my bed and I was alone and I was just me and my thoughts, then I was in chaos. Like then I start biting my nails, and it's like, shit, like I gotta fall asleep. Oh, I can't fall asleep. It's just becomes this big mess, right? So then it's like, all right, put the headphones in, put on a podcast, listen to something interesting, which is, it's a good thing to do in the moment, right? But it became maladaptive because then it was like this thing where I couldn't fall asleep without it. And because again, I was hiding from my still thoughts, right? I was avoiding that energy, and I was avoiding that voice in my head. And the thing is, the only way to resolve it is to just do it, It's like you have to cross the bridge, right? And so obviously when I gained a little bit more confidence just through the different experience I've had in the last couple of years, actually really just in the last year, then I was able to start, okay, now I can go to sleep. Now I can have that time where it's just me and my thoughts. And again, sometimes it's not always peaceful and bliss, but I have the confidence that I can at least think about it and resolve. I don't want to avoid it, right? Nice. And again, like, I don't want to avoid it for the very least. It's because I don't like being in that state, and I don't want to be in that state any longer. Like again, I'm only 25, but I felt like for a lot of my life, I was in that chaotic mind state, and it was not, it was just not productive. It was just weighing me down, and I recognize that now. And so at the very least, that's an important thing. And so I started valuing sleep, and I literally know that in every aspect of my life I've been better based on, if I just followed the sleep thing, right? Yeah. I still haven't really wrapped my diet around yet. I'd say my real problem, like I don't eat necessarily bad foods, I don't really have much really junk foods in the house, but my biggest problem is just overconsumption. And that's a mental thing that I had to condition myself to in high school. When I just started out high school, I was actually a really skinny kid, and I wasn't much of an eater. And like when I go to my grandparents' house, my grandparents will say, my grandpa, he's dead now, but my grandpa would say, you never ate. I had to force you to eat your carrots and stuff, right? I'd eat I'd have like one bite of like rice, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm good, But I had to force myself to eat because I was reading on the bodybuilding forums, just like, I gotta eat like 5,000 calories a day. And I'm like, this is like Leigh at 14. And I have this mind where it's like, okay, if that's what I'm gonna do, I'll just do it then. And so that's what I was doing, like I was mixing like protein and oatmeal and eggs in the morning and pounding that before I would go to school. And I'd already be at like, 1,500 calories before I'd even get to school. And so I had this mindset though, if I'm eating a meal and if I'm not stuffed, I haven't eaten enough. Because that's what I would do. Like I'd fill my stomach up, and then I'd be like, all right, one more bowl of pasta or one more chicken breast. And so I'm still trying to unlearn it. Like, I'm like 8 years later, I'm still trying to unlearn it. And it's
why? Because you're not trying to gain the weight like you were before?
No, trying to lose the weight, if anything. But it's just this thing, man. It's like, it's a weird thing. It's a psychological thing where I literally will finish my plate of food and I'll immediately like unconsciously go for more food. And so it's like, it's a weird thing, but I'm just working on it, right? And I guess it's like, am I always hungry? Like I always say this, I'm always hungry. Am I always hungry, or is like, am I just convinced that I'm always hungry, right? Because literally, when we've been doing, my girlfriend and I, we've gone for some pretty gnarly hikes, right? And when you're doing like a 8-hour hike, like it's really not that much time to eat. And so you're exercising, you're doing intense physical exercise, and you're eating like a granola bar or like a piece of watermelon here or there. So you're eating less food and exercising more. So theoretically, if I'm not doing much exercise or I'm just working here on the computer, my body really doesn't need that much fuel. It doesn't need the same amount of fuel, at least. And so it's a mental thing, right? Like it has to be, I have to just untrain the mind. And that's something I'm working on. That's probably my biggest obstacle. So diet is definitely an important habit. So the next thing was just the morning routine. And that was something that I'd like to get into with you. because you've really stressed the importance of having a good morning routine to me. And that's something that I've been on and off with. But leading into 2021, I made a commitment to myself that I would have a morning routine every morning. And that's something that I've stuck to so far. We're 17 days, right? So we're not even halfway through the year. We're not even a quarter of the way through the year. But every day, and this is something you said, every day you follow that routine, or every streak you make, you're more likely to keep it. Right. Yeah. So after 17 days, I have this pressure. It's like, oh my God, I don't want to break the streak on day 18. You know, what if I can do 1 month? And if I finish 1 month, then I'm hoping that will lead to 2 months, right? Yeah. But I'd like you to, walk me through your morning routine. And maybe talk about why you think that morning routines are so important.
Yeah, I feel like, because I've been able to compare having, and the difference is just so immense. I know that when I don't have a morning routine, I wake up late, because if I wake up late, it's usually because I slept late. So sleeping early is so important to everything. Sleeping early is important to getting enough sleep, having a morning routine, getting your daily meditation and exercise, and everything is so important. It starts from sleeping early. It starts from the night before. But then when I don't have time to do my morning routine, I'm rushing. I wake up, I have a shower, brush my teeth, put on my clothes, and go to work. And when I'm at work, it's like I'm not even awake yet. I'm not even ready yet. Life is just pushing me forward. Whereas if I wake up with ample time to just like find myself, ground myself, listen to myself, meditate.
Yes.
I feel so good. Like, I start the day feeling so high, and that affects the entire day. It affects my work, it affects the people that I work with, it affects my students, my girlfriend. It affects everything, just having a good morning routine. And my morning routine is 1 hour long. So that means that if I want to finish by 7:30, I get up at 6:30. And what I do is I do 10 minutes of Wim Hof. I love Wim Hof, right? So 10 minutes of Wim Hof, 10 minutes of the humming bee. It's like a yoga breathing technique where you go. So 10 minutes of so 10 minutes of Wim Hof breathing, 10 minutes. The Wim Hof breathing really does like oxygenate the mind and body and the brain and everything. It really just like pushes you straight out of your sleep. And so you wake up straight away from the 10 minutes of breathing, deep, heavy breathing, and then the breath holds. I know how I feel that morning by how long I can hold my breath. And I hold my breath on the breath out. And now usually I can do it for like 90 seconds. Whereas if I'm not in good shape in the morning, I'll do it for 30 seconds, and I feel I'm really running out of oxygen. So how long I can hold my breath is an indicator to let me know how I feel, how my body is right now. And then after that, I do 10 minutes of just meditation. The meditation is just going to be quiet, silent, just observing the breath, relaxing the mind and body, keeping it focused, knowing where my awareness is. And then after that, I do 5 minutes of visualization. So I visualize myself drinking water, purifying all the toxins in the body. I'm breathing in light, breathing out light, circulating the light of the universe through me back into the universe. I'm just like a ball of light in my visualization. And then, so that's my half an hour of like passive routine where I just breathe and meditate and just hone in mentally. Then after that, I do 20 minutes of stretching. I've got like 20 stretches that I do for 1 minute each. And then after that, I do 4 minutes of push-ups, 4 minutes of sit-ups, and I'm done. And then I have a shower, start the day. And I feel great, dude. I love it. And I think just before I ask you your morning routine, Leigh, I think if you go online and search what is the best morning routine, you'll find so many different people talking about their morning routines, and I've tried a lot, but what I'm sticking to now is what works for me. I enjoy it, and the enjoyment part is so important. If I didn't like something, for example, there are some things that I would have done before that I didn't like walking meditation in the morning. It wasn't for me. Or like there are some things that I did in the morning because I was told or I read about was good, but what I'm doing now, I like it. So when I wake up, I'm looking forward to it. I'm not dreading it. I used to dread a morning routine, but now it pushes me out of bed because I'm so excited to do my morning routine because I love it. It feels great. It's enjoyable, you know. So that's so important in a morning routine. Don't do just what people tell you to do or what you think is effective. You have to like listen to your mind and body. You have to like it. Yeah.
And that's why you have to try a bunch of different things, right? Which again you were doing. But that's also why you need the time, right? And that's interesting, right? So that's what I wrote down while you were talking. And you said that, you know, you make sure that you have an ample amount of time in the morning before you have to, you know, you have to go to work, you have to do something that you have to do, right?
Yeah.
And so you have enough time to do that morning routine, because I think the morning routine will become a lot more stressed and it will be less effective if you're like, you know, you only have 10 minutes and then you have to do this. And so you're rushing it, right?
Yeah.
I like to get up. I like to have enough time to have my shower. I like to have enough time to make a coffee. I'm not sure. I don't know if you even drink coffee anymore, but So and then I go and do the meditation. I could do the meditation right away, but I actually like to do the meditation when I'm a lot closer to when I'm starting my teaching, and that's because I feel like after I open my eyes, that first 10-15 minutes is just like pure excitement for the day, happiness, lots more energy. So, you know, maybe I could experiment it, but it's working for me right now. And that's like, I've been getting up at like 6:11. That's when my alarm rings. By the time I get out of bed, I don't jump out of bed right away, but I'm downstairs before 7. And then I'm making my coffee. I get the coffee going right away. Coffee is very essential to my life. And so then I do my shower, and then boom, I pound the coffee, have some food, and then I'm putting on some music or I'm texting, and then I go into that meditation around 8 o'clock. And I've just been doing about 20 minutes. I've been doing the Sadhguru one that you said. It's actually 12 minutes long, but I don't, you know, the second it ends, I don't just jump up again. I'm just relaxing, sitting. And again, part of that is also the intention. And I've been doing this thing. My friends probably don't like it too much, but I don't know. But in the group chat, I'll also write part of my morning routine is to write something motivational or something in my group chat. At the very least, but it's also holding myself accountable. So if I do that for, now we're at like 17 days, 18 days. If I do that every day, it's also part of the thing, right? Because it's like, at the very least, it's like, oh no, I didn't let the boys know to keep going today or whatever, right? So the morning routine's been a really interesting one for me, and it's really, I think I've been having great days. And at the very least, when I have days where I have challenging things, whether it's like, you know, school stuff, I think I don't know if I want to even do the day without the morning routine. Like the morning routine is so important to it, right?
Nice.
So that's some powerful stuff.
Yeah.
And that's something I learned from you. And I guess it's all part of the discipline, right?
Yeah. I think so, because it does require discipline to do a morning routine. Because it does start with the sleep, like sleeping early, waking up early, you know, like not pressing the snooze button. When you press the snooze button, you're pretty much foregoing the morning routine, or you're cutting it short. By the way, like my morning routine is an hour, but if I have only 10 minutes, I know how to adapt it to just 10 minutes. If I've got 20, 30, 40 minutes, I know, so it's not just an hour, because that's a long time to do if I don't have that much time. Yeah.
But that's pretty high level too. You're adapting your morning routine on the fly, you know?
Yeah.
But so Byron, what else do you want to talk about?
So
we've talked about morning routine. We've talked about different habits. What else are you thinking about?
I just want to touch a bit on, because we've talked a lot about, you know, these things are a lot of it is like mental health, but then in terms of physical health, I want to just like inspire anyone who's listening that daily exercise is so important, that if you are not doing it and then you start, give it like a week or two and you'll realize what a big difference it makes. Because when I exercise, like I feel good. Like I stretch and do yoga every day, but not just that, I do like my weights, and I feel stronger. I feel like more flexible from the stretching. I feel strong. I honestly think it's got to do with the testosterone that you're producing naturally when you're pushing, when you're exercising, and that does like make you feel like more confident, more sharp, you know, just more strong, more energetic. So I just want to emphasize that a little bit, so that it's not just like mental health with meditation and morning routine, but there's also a lot of benefit to exercise. And when I say exercise, I mean that we have to like be consistent. And this is such an important thing with anything, with habits, right, Leigh? Like, whatever you're doing, you have to do it consistently, because once you stop, it's so easy to just stop for a long time. Whereas if you just keep going, don't break the streak, you just like drag it out until it becomes second nature. And that's where you know that it becomes more effortless. In the beginning, it requires more effort and more discipline. But towards like, you know, like maybe half year, 1 year, 3, 5, 10 years later, you're doing it because it's just how you're doing it like you brush your teeth, right? You're doing it like you have a shower. It's just a very normal part of life, and that's where it becomes effortless. And that's the state that we want to be at.
Yes, exactly. And then you can push yourself in different ways. Like, you know, like you do that morning routine, that meditation, but then now you're trying to do some different meditations and stuff like that. But you have to build the base, right? So maybe it's just finding something that you like right away and then going from there. Like you were saying last week, which is pretty wild. Like you did that 3-hour meditation. It's like, if you just randomly sat down and did a 3-hour meditation, that doesn't make up for 3 days of morning meditation or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But so that's a good point, and I find that there's a confidence boost too in the exercise as well. So not only since, and maybe it's testosterone, right? Maybe it's actually, it all comes down to hormones, like everything in our life. But on top of that, there is this little bit of a confidence boost, and that confidence boost, it you know, goes through across like your whole day, right? So I always find I have more energy after I worked out, unless I do like an intense cardio workout, because then I'm tired. But from just lifting weights, like I actually usually feel like I have more energy after. You know, so that's interesting as well.
And I think what also adds to the confidence is that if we're doing things like exercise, if it's challenging, where we're like pushing ourselves, it's not like we're doing like 1 kilo dumbbell bicep curls, for example. We're doing like 10, 20, 15 kilos or whatever. Like we're pushing ourselves. And when we can accomplish something that's challenging, and then we build on that, making it like 1% more difficult the next day. Just build it up by 1% every day. Over the span of like a year, you're doing significantly more. And that just builds your confidence, right? It just builds your strength and builds your self-belief.
Yeah, and that's actually quite easy to do. 1% per day, you know. Like,
and that's not just weights. That's not just weights.
7% a week. But it's realistic for sure. Right? That's a realistic goal. That, you know, besides if you have some, you know, really different circumstances, anyone can probably, you know, build towards that. You know, build towards 1% more a day. In terms of challenging yourself, right? Like, I mean, with weights, like you could really easily do that. Like that's the nice part about weights, right? Like literally it's just the weight. Like you can measure it so in number of reps, like you can measure it so easily, right?
But not just weights, like even like meditation, you know, like you do 1% of 10 minutes extra would be like a few seconds. But over time, if you're adding a few seconds every day, you know, it makes from 10 minutes to 11 to 12 to 13, and before you know it, you're doing like an hour, and you just like eased your way into it, so it doesn't feel like you've just made an hour jump. You've made second by second jump, you know. And this is not just meditation, this is every aspect of life. So eating 1% healthier every day, sleeping 1% more every day, you know, or like exercising, running 1% more, doing 1 more rep per set, or 1 more rep per day or whatever, you know. Just as long as you've got that little bit of an increase, little bit of a little bit of an increase means that over time you're actually building yourself quite a bit.
Yeah, like a long-term progression is huge, right?
Yeah.
So
in financial terms, it's called compounding interest.
Yeah, so you have a little bit of compounding interest on your meditation. It's important that Byron brings the financials into the health world. That's important, dude.
Yeah.
one of your areas of expertise. It's quite interesting, dude. You have a lot of areas of expertise here. You know, you really do have the blueprint, you know, especially the laundromat business going on. But so I think it's a good time. Maybe we can summarize.
Yeah, just to summarize, I just want to like re-emphasize why we did this in the first place. Is because like health is not just, you know, like just to be healthy. It's to help us achieve every single goal in life, whether it's a financial goal, a relationship goal, a career goal, a social goal, a family goal. You know, like if you've got good health, you can do everything in life better. But not only that, like you are a more reliable, trustworthy, credible person. You're more influential in what you're doing because you're healthy. People can see you and see, wow, this guy's level of health, I want to be like him. And so it's easier to influence people. It's easier to, it's just more attractive to be physically and mentally healthy. And that helps a lot in everything in life.
But that's the important thing is that mental side as well. You know, I think because again, probably when I was the healthiest physically, I was probably the least healthy mentally, which is a funny one, right?
Yeah.
But that's just like the only reason that the physical body was healthy was the root of the insecurity and everything else that was driving that. But if we're trying to fill our tanks up with like good, clean fuel. And that's like energy wise and diet wise. Yeah,
that's like the goal of the Be Kind, Be Happy podcast, right? It's for the mental health, right? Kindness is a mental health quality, and so is happiness. And so this whole channel, this whole podcast series is based is like we're doing this for the mental health, which then leads to physical health. But you know, like everything that we talk about every week is to help us build a healthy life, mentally and physically.
Good point, right? Like, you know, like how you treat others, how you feel about yourself on the inside as well, right? Like, be kind to others, be kind to yourself. You know, be happy
for sure.
with others, be happy to yourself.
For sure.
You know, go to sleep happy as well, right? So again, are there any other points you want to wrap up here?
No, I think that's good. If anyone has questions or any comments, or if anyone wants us to explore any topic in the future, please let us know, because the reason why we did this live stream is so that we can have more opportunities to connect with people, to interact with people, and to make this more lively, you know, as opposed to pre-recording everything. So looking forward to the next live stream. I actually think, what do you think, Leigh? Like personally, I think this went really, really good.
Yeah, it was cool, man. There's less, can't make any mistakes though, you know? High pressure. No, it's all right. It's just funny again. We talk about the progression too, right? Like, you know, you just talked about compounding interest. But if you think back to the first episode, I couldn't even string a sentence together, and that was recorded. Like, and that was the final product uploaded. Like, you know, if anyone actually watched that, like most of those sentences I said 3 or 4 times. They were more messed up the first sentence. So that's a funny thing, eh?
But you're right. This
live stream again. She's so cute.
Oh, sweet.
Thanks, Asha.
But
that's actually
thanks, Asha.
Because it just said there's like 4 people. I actually wasn't sure if Asha
was watching.
That's nice.
I
don't know.
But you're right. This is what we're talking about in terms of like improving by 1% every day, and that 1% just so happens to be this live stream today.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, all right. So again, thanks everyone for watching. This was episode 21.
22.
22.
Yes.
22. So we're in 2021. We're doing 22.
Yes.
All right. Nice. So
all right, guys.
Again, anyone who's there, thank you.